After yesterday's bad news dump involving Justin Simmons, it was time for some good news, right? John Krasinski style. So if you are happy that Tim Patrick is staying in Denver, hit the thumbs up button on today's video. Let's get 300 likes. Let's break our like record over the last 2-3 months at this point. Tim Patrick is staying in Denver. We're going to run through the new contract for him, go over the details, which are slim pickings at this point, talk cap space, talk all sorts of Broncos updated news and rumors going into NFL free agency, including some other possible moves that could be coming down the pipeline. But the Broncos and Tim Patrick agreed on a new one-year contract. If you watched our coverage yesterday, I said there is a 0% chance Tim Patrick returns on his current deal, and if he does come back, it's because they made a new contract, and that's exactly what happened. Tim Patrick agreed to a new deal, definitely took a big pay cut, but it also lowered his $15.5 million cap hit, which should have Denver right at the threshold of being below the salary cap, which all teams have to be below the NFL salary cap before the new league year starts on March 13th. Now, I think this is a sneaky important move to keep Tim Patrick. Sean Payton had big plans for Tim Patrick going into last season. Unfortunately, we never got to see those plans unveiled. Patrick has missed the last 2 seasons with injuries, all of 2022 and 2023 with ACL and Achilles injuries back-to-back years. The guy's a warrior. He was rehabbing like crazy. He was back for the first day of training camp for 2023 after tearing his ACL, and early on in August, he popped his Achilles, but fingers crossed he'll be ready to roll for week 1 of 2024, and he can pick up where he left off, which was from 2020 to 2021, he was a 1,400-yard receiver with 6 touchdowns, and he wasn't even the number 1 target in a bottom-half passing offense in the NFL. Really makes you wonder with, see what quarterback is under center, but a better head coach in Sean Payton and hopefully a healthy Tim Patrick, what he could do. Now, the wide receiver room is definitely going to be going under a makeover this offseason. Remains to be seen whether or not Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy return. We'll talk about Jeudy specifically in just a little bit, but let's show TP some love. One of my first Broncos breakdown videos, I remember it was back in 2021, and we were talking about Tim Patrick, and I was like, Tim Patrick's just a glue guy. He's the kind of guy that you want at your house party because if you run out of beer, he's going to make a run to the store, and he's going to come back with like the Doritos 12-pack commercial, and everyone goes crazy for him. That's Tim Patrick. Love Tim Patrick. Fan base loves him. Coaches love him. Teammates love him. This was a move that you may not see reflected on the box score as an important signing, but trust me, it's really important that Tim Patrick stayed in Denver. Now, I mentioned Patrick among 4 or 5 cut/trade candidates on yesterday's video. Ultimately, they were able to avoid cutting him because of this new contract, but there are still some other moves that could be made involving some other wide receivers, right? Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton specifically. Now, Jeudy is in an interesting camp. He's got his 5th-year option, which is fully guaranteed. Whereas Courtland Sutton, there's some pros and cons. Like if you move on from him, you save about $10 million, but you do pick up $7.6 million in dead money, which is money being paid to players, not like to their pockets, but devoted to the cap space for guys no longer on your roster. I think Jerry Jeudy between these two is much more likely to be moved. You're not going to get a great haul for Courtland Sutton. I know he had 10 touchdowns last year, but he's getting up there in the age column. And when you're an aging receiver that doesn't win with speed, man, that separation, whatever little bit of it you had, really starts to go away as you get older. So I don't think there's a big market for Courtland Sutton, despite 10 touchdowns last year. Whereas Jerry Jeudy, former first-rounder, Biletnikoff winner, not even 25 years old yet. There's going to be a team out there that goes, if Jerry Jeudy was in this year's draft, we would use our second-round pick on him. So instead of waiting to see what we could get in round 2, let's go get a proven thing in Jerry Jeudy, which unfortunately he hasn't proven a whole lot. He hasn't gone over 1,000 yards. I think we all know the Jerry Jeudy saga, if you will. The lack of touchdowns just really hasn't been a big playmaker for this team. He's had some good moments, don't get me wrong, and I don't think he's a guy that doesn't belong in the NFL or he can't be a top wide receiver. There's one too many good highlights from Jerry Jeudy to think he can't be a productive receiver for a team, but it just doesn't appear to be happening in Denver. Maybe that's because of, since 2020, all the different quarterbacks he's had, 3 different head coaches, 3 to 4, I'm losing track, offensive coordinators. Like, that's probably a big reason why he hasn't quite flourished so far. But if Sean Payton is looking to add more draft ammunition because he only has 2 picks in the top 100 right now, trading away Jerry Jeudy would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You generate nearly $13 million in cap space. Get that contract completely off your books. You'd also be picking up some much-needed draft capital because Denver is entering what I'm going to call a soft rebuild. And you could have made the argument, which some Broncos YouTuber like myself did back in October, that they should have sold then to get good value for these guys. And instead, they didn't. And then there was no trade market for Justin Simmons, and he had to be released. But whatever. Now, what could a trade package look like? Well, let's talk about destinations first for Jeudy. I think Denver could get a second for him. They may have to trade a pick back to the team that trades for him. We saw that last year with like Elijah Moore, for example, where the Jets got a second from Cleveland, but the Browns got the Jets' third and Elijah Moore. But if we're looking at some Jerry Jeudy trade destinations, I'm sure Denver would love if New England or New York, 2 wide receiver needy teams, gave them a call and said, we'll give you our second for Jerry Jeudy right now. Those teams are probably looking at the NFL draft big board and saying, this is a deep wide receiver class. We can just draft a wide receiver at that spot. But teams like the Browns, Packers, Texans, and Ravens, all playoff teams last year, they may feel like they're just on the outside of getting one of the top 10 wide receivers in this draft. And I'd say 10, and that's not an understatement. There are 10 wide receivers that will go in the top 50. So, could the teams like the Packers, Texans, or Ravens decide, we don't want to pray that Jerry or one of these guys falls to us. Let's go get Jerry Jeudy right now, and let's give Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, Lamar Jackson another great piece to work with as we try and go on a deeper playoff run than last season. So chime in for me. Should Denver trade Jerry Jeudy? Yes or no? I want to get your opinion down below in the comment section. I have wrestled with the idea of trading Jeudy and or Sutton, and for me, we're talking $13 million in cap savings. Now, there is a chance that Denver could eat some of that money. They did that with Von Miller's contract where they go, in order to get a better draft pick in return, we'll eat $5, $6, $7 million of that cap hit. So you may not get the entire 12.9, but you could get half of it or something like that and get a day 2 pick, second, maybe 2/3 or something like that. That's tough to pass on, right? Especially with the direction this team is headed. On one hand, you want to give a rookie quarterback plenty to work with, and trading away a top receiver before he even gets to Denver surely doesn't seem like a good plan in place to help that rookie QB. But at the same time, if you feel like this is Jerry Jeudy's last year in Denver, maybe sell high right now because you can't move on from him really until the trade deadline, and his value could have plummeted at that point if he's not playing well. Now, some other guys to watch for. You've got Garrett Bowles and DJ Jones. I don't think Garrett Bowles is going anywhere. I just feel like he played too well last year at too important of a position for Denver to decide that's the next move we have to make to free up some cap space. Whereas DJ Jones, you're not going to free up as much cap space as you would with Garrett Bowles. You could get $16 million in cap relief. DJ Jones, you can get $9-ish million. So I think the $7 million discount is probably not big enough to go the Garrett Bowles route. Whereas DJ Jones at defensive tackle, I mean, I went at length about this on yesterday's video, but kind of sucked last year. He hasn't lived up to this 3-year contract, but the entire run defense sucked last year. Are you going to make the whole run-stopping unit better by moving on from the only returning starter at that spot? Unlikely, but also, it kind of sucked last year because he was a part of the problem, right? It wasn't like he was the only good guy. Pro Football Focus ranked him 80th amongst defensive tackles. So here's a trade idea I came up with. How about the Broncos and the 49ers make another deal? remember, DJ Jones came over from San Francisco. Now, the 49ers would be doing Denver a solid by picking up a good chunk of the last year of this contract, and Jones may have to take a pay cut. But what about a 6th-round draft pick to Denver for DJ Jones and a 7th? It's just like the Randy Gregory trade. This may be Denver's only way to save some money and even get a draft pick out of DJ Jones. All right, well, that will do it for us on today's show. Very happy to see Tim Patrick returning on a new 1-year contract. Fingers crossed that he can, stay healthy and have a really solid season. Plenty of more Broncos free agency news and rumors coming out over the next few days, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel.